Alright, so I'm working on my egg drawing, and I have here the little exercise I did where I did the different value scales with each pencil, and I've got my egg. It's still looking pretty rough. Let's talk about some methods of shading. Alright, so value, right, is the use of light and dark, and adding value, sometimes we'll call it shading. You're going to move your pencil pretty quickly, and that looks pretty rough right now. One thing I don't want to see you guys do is go like this. Don't do that. The other thing I don't want to see you do is I don't want to see you do that. Any lines that look like this and look like this are making your drawing look messy, and it's not going to look realistic. So let's take a look at what happens when I go back over this mark right here, and I'm going to slightly switch directions and try to fill in all those little blank spots. It's starting to feel more uniform. And then what I can do is I can take this guy, it's called a paper stump, or sometimes we'll call it a paper smudger, and I can go over it in a circular motion, and that'll fill that in pretty nicely. This picks up graphite, and then I can use this also to draw with. So you've got your HB, your number 2, 4, 6, maybe an ebony or even a number 8 sometimes, and then your paper stump is kind of like your lightest pencil, right? So it's for putting down your very lightest value. And the other thing that you can do with it is you can clean up those rough edges, or you can rub it around in here and all this, and then slowly work your way outward so that you can create a gradient. My cat came to see what I'm doing. Hey buddy. What I want to see when you're filling in shadows is I want to see that nice smooth transition. So let's look back at our egg. See how this is looking right now? It's looking kind of rough. So anytime you have a shadow that's cast, so this shadow here is cast by the egg, you're going to have a nice hard line. So I can take my paper stump tool and I can clean up that line, get it nice and straight. I could also, so I messed up in a couple little spots, I could come through with my eraser and I can clean that up a little bit. But then on the egg itself, so let's look at the picture. So there's the picture of the egg. Notice how it goes from dark to light and the kind of a nice smooth gradient. And then down here below, that little spot right there, light is being reflected up from the plate to the bottom of the egg, and that's why it looks a little lighter here than it does here. So when we're doing our drawing, it's really nice and dark up at the top, and you can see where I shaded. It's such a big space that it's come out kind of messy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my paper stump to clean that up to get it uniform. So I don't see all those pencil marks. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting a little better. And then I want to take it where it goes from light to dark. And I want to smooth out that transition real nice, right? So over here is where I can see all my pencil marks, and over here it's starting to look a little smoother. And I'm going to keep working this with my paper stump until that looks really nice and clean and smooth. And then this edge right here is a little too hard, so I come over that with my paper smudger, and I slowly, sorry, you couldn't see what I was doing, I slowly smooth that out so that it's a nice clean transition. going to start to look more like the way the picture looks. So I don't want these hard edges. I want this nice, smooth, dark to light transition. Okay. You guys might be looking at my paper stump and going, oh, well, I can just use my finger for that. So yes, you can. You could use your finger, but then your finger gets covered with graphite, and every time you touch something, you're going to leave a little mark. The other thing about using your hands that's not good is that your hands have oils in it, in the skin, and what that oil is going to do is it's going to get into the paper and it's going to eat at it, and what it does is it'll make your drawings so that they're not archival. They won't last for very long. So it's better to use a paper stump. And the other reason why a paper stump is better than your finger is because it has a nice little point to it, which you can use to do a more precise drawing than your finger. Your finger is going to be kind of clumsy. Something to watch out for when you're doing your value exercises, and especially working on a nicer drawing, is you're going to get on your knuckles and on your palm, you're going to get graphite, and what that'll do while you're working, you'll rest your hand on your paper. You probably can't see that, but it'll get little smudges on it. And actually, there's a little smudge right there, and there's a little smudge right there and right there. So with these exercises, it doesn't matter quite as much, but later on when we're doing our nicer drawings, what you'll want to do is get a clean piece of paper and put it down between your palm and the part that you're touching on the paper so that you don't get those smudges all over. All right, do your best work. Can't wait to see what you're up to. We'll see ya.